Media Mundo.
Good afternoon. I'm here in Kuala Lumpur with Gurdial Singh Nijar, attorney, lawyer, law professor of the University of Malaya before. Gurdial Nijar was also involved in a very interesting court case, which was launched it was already in 2011, I think, right?
Yes.
The Kuala Lumpur Human Rights Commission.
His tribunal was an attempt to show the world that war is wrong as an instrument of foreign policy. So people like Mahathir and the government picked up on this anti-war kind of situation, right? And started a campaign of that is crime to commit war. It's not war crimes. War crimes means you take to war and you can commit crimes, but within a certain framework. It is criminalizing war.
War itself. Yeah.
Yes, war itself. One of the prime examples of that, criminalizing war and destroying a country, was of course the Iraq war, because the evidence is very clear. So that provided the impetus for people who were anti-war and anti-hegemonic power, like Mahathir and a large number of countries, to galvanize international public support on this issue. So of course they then started this International War Crimes Tribunal, which is really international because it got international panel of judges.
From which countries were people?
We were from America, from UK, from Europe, from Africa, and everywhere. I was the chief prosecutor, at the time for this War Crimes Tribunal. So we filed a case against Bush and Blair at that time. And we produced a lot of documents. And we also produced a lot of witnesses, people who have been taken from Afghanistan, Bagram and all these places, transported to Guantanamo. The proceedings are produced in a book, which I can let you have a look at. We gave notice to the American Embassy and UK Embassy, but they didn't participate. I think they sent people, but they didn't participate actively.
Yeah.
And they came to a conclusion and verdict was sent to the International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court acknowledged the letter and all, but refused to do.
Okay, they only recognized what? The letter? But
yeah, they just acknowledge it, not recognize it. Acknowledge, and I send you a letter, you say, oh, thank you.
I
received
only
the
that.
letter, and refuse to have, you see.
Yes, of course.
And then after that, we also had another action against Israel and Yaron, because of the massacre in Sabra and Shatila, in Lebanon, which the UN also had set up an inquiry and found that this was a very brutal massacre. And we also had witnesses who came, who had witnessed this, and they came and gave evidence.
They testified here?
Yes, testified
in front of the
tribunal. Yes.
Okay.
Same with Bush and Blair. Also, all those Guantanamo detainees all came. It was a very important one. It was not covered internationally, but it was all these people were giving evidence of what happened to them.
It was not big
because
international media.
I know, because it's blocked, as you know, mainstream media won't publish
it.
Sort of. There also the tribunal found Israel government as well as Yaron, who was at that time the defense minister, guilty of that. And in that we also explored the whole history of the Israel occupation or entry into that area right from 1948, and we had a lot of Israeli scholars, Ilan Pape and all these people who gave evidence in this case. Very important again, because they are scholars now in England. They've moved away, but who have recorded these historical events right from the beginning of time. Ours was because there was a failure by the international institutions. Then we started this process, a process of awareness first. And actually the awareness also and the whole process was to feed into the international institution process. So this KL War Crimes Tribunal was about collecting that information in a very coherent, formalistic way. There were rules. We followed the rules of the International Criminal Court in collecting evidence.
But it was also a critique on against the same court, basically, because you were almost saying like you are not doing what you should do, and how it should be done.
It was not a critique, but it was what we call filling in the gap. It is a gap measure because nobody was doing anything about it. So some leaders in the world decided, look, we've got to do something. And then they did something, you see. It's just like what South Africa has done now, because nobody's doing anything, so they bring the case in.
Media Mondo.